Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. I'm Jeremy Elliott, joined by the tired Ryan Ham. We got to get him to bed. It's late.
Yeah, past my bedtime.
Needs his beauty sleep, but he was, gracious enough to get the podcast out earlier this week. Ryan, we're just going to jump in with news. If we miss any race results, that's tough.
Was there any news this week?
Yeah, well, we're going to start with a wild Sunday, and I said this on our Moose's LZ weekend wrap today. I was sitting on the couch yesterday, going to watch some hockey. There's 3 hockey games. I like hockey playoffs. And then I went to my daughter's track meet, and all hell broke loose. So Parker Price Miller, it starts with Parker Price Miller announcing on Twitter that he is parting ways, or that he, along with McCandless Motorsports, have decided to part ways. Didn't like the direction of the team. Read later that some of it had to do with the Ford Motors. The team wanted to stick with him. Parker did not. Ryan, initial thoughts on this? I mean, I think from my standpoint, Parker still has his own car. He has the late model aspirations. I thought they performed well together throughout the early season. They had a top 10 in high limit. They finished 4th at Atomic. It wasn't a bad mix.
No, I think they were okay. I don't know. I guess everybody's scared of the Fords. If Donnie can't win with a Ford, no one can.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very early. I mean, it's very early in their tenure, because their tenure didn't even get started till after Florida, so or thereabouts. That was a very late hookup there with them guys. But yeah, I guess silly season has begun.
It's May. Beginning of May. We didn't even have. I mean, what's going on here? Well, now we get to the big one. Later that evening, It came, which I expected to hear from you last night. I'm actually disappointed. Crouch Motorsports announced on Twitter that they've split from Buddy Kofoid. Buddy later put out that it was his decision. There's been a lot of rumors as to what it was. Some say it was the double DNQ at Eldora. Others say, one side wanted to run World of Outlaws while the other didn't. None of that's true. It's internal personalities. It's about where I'm going to leave it. And Ryan, for a team that's performed as well as they have early in the season, already have an outlaw win going into last weekend, 5th in points despite not being a platinum member. This was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, this was definitely a shock to me. They performed really well, I felt like, and to perform as well as they did and still have whatever you want to call it internal issues is kind of crazy to me, because I mean, 5th in the outlaw points, I don't know where do you want to be? What I mean, that's pretty damn good if you ask me, but obviously things aren't kosher, so it's almost laughing to me, because I don't understand. Everything, all the pieces were there and they're running very well. And okay, so you have a bad weekend. Big deal. Get on to the next one.
I don't think it has anything to do with that weekend.
That had to be the nail in the coffin. I mean, come on.
Sure, but I think personalities. Look, we've seen this before. Let's not fool ourselves. You and I have been around a long time. You could have the best driver, best crew chief, best owner, and it just doesn't work. There's a chemistry there, or personalities clash, or it just didn't work out. We've seen this many times with teams that should have dominated. The one that always jumps off the page to me is Greg Hodnett and Al Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had the best, one of the top 2-3 drivers in Pennsylvania, DeWeese obviously, and Raymer in that mix. And you had probably, at that time, the biggest car owner, and it just didn't work. And that happens. And in this case, I think it's stunning to a lot of people. And the question now becomes, what happens with each side? Is there a trickle-down effect? And Ryan, I think obviously Leighton Crouch and the Crouch Motorsports team are going to be fine. I'm sure they're fielding calls like crazy. And I think eventually uh, Buddy will I mean, young, talented driver, one of the best. I got a call from one prominent driver today going, what happened? Because they think Buddy's that talented. And I just think it's going to take time to find that right team because there's not a lot out there right now.
Yeah, no, I'm shocked that they went that direction. But hey, if it was as bad as, I guess if it's that bad, you got to do something.
Yeah. And who goes to that team now? That's the question.
I don't know, but I'll be honest with you. I feel like, I'm not a Cali guy, but I feel like they have a lot of big shoes to fill there. I mean, Buddy did a very good job, and I don't know. This is crazy to me.
Yeah, there's few drivers in the country at this point that I would want over him. Only, I mean, because of his age. Because you're going to have him for a long time. You have longevity there. I mean,
Listen, he's good now, and
yeah,
the upside's huge because he hasn't done the wing sprint car stuff for a while. He started his career in California, ran early in his career in it, but then ran midgets and non-wing stuff for a long time. So I mean, he's just getting acclimated with it again. The sky's the limit. This is, I don't know. I guess only time will tell if this was the right decision on one side or the other. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. Not the only news. James McFadden has lost his appeal. He started serving his 4-race suspension on Friday night. Wasn't at Eldora, and he's eligible to come back on Saturday for the $17,000 to win Morgan Cup. I will be stunned if he's there because I've
so you
heard
think they'll sit around in Pennsylvania and just wait? Come
no,
on.
no. I think they're going to California to run the Peter Murphy Classic.
Yeah, it'll be impossible to see him in Williams Grove this weekend.
Yeah, there's no way he's doing that. So this is a tricky thing. I've talked to a couple drivers today who gave me their opinion on the tire testing process, and they're non-outlaw guys, so not exactly a dog in the fight. Ryan, you said it best. Something you said last week or the week before. I think it was last week. You want to know what it was that was on them. Like if you're a crew chief, if you didn't do it, you want to know what it was so you can narrow it down. I think that's the big hole in this thing.
Yeah.
I've heard stuff about the testing side. I've heard different things about this process. I don't know. Either way, they're serving the penalty.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because obviously now they're gonna, I would say, they'll hit and miss outlaw shows, and they're gonna have to try to run all the high limit races and a lot of the all star stuff. They're just gonna have to pick the best races from here on out to race because the amount of money they're gonna lose at the end of the year with the outlaw points is something they're gonna have to make up by picking and choosing good races to race.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I agree with you. Pains me, but yeah, no. But you're right. You want to know what it was, so
Yeah,
you don't do it again, or maybe
yeah,
it's I don't know.
yeah. It's definitely a sticky situation. I understand. Look, if it was reversed, I think the Outlaws then open a can of worms. Um,
Yeah,
it's just not a good situation either way. And it sucks. It sucks all the way around. I mean, Dennis Roth has been very loyal to the Outlaws for years, and I mean, it's going to be a big chunk of change. The year-end points to the team and to the driver. It's huge. But they'll be able to run some high limit races now.
yeah, and they're going to run in California. I think
Yeah.
this coming weekend. I'll be stunned if they're not out there. That's $11,000 to win on Saturday night. I'm sure you'll be picking them. Uh, we're going to get into some racing and a DQ that seemed to get a lot of people stirred up on Friday. But Rico Abreu's speed this year, Ryan, I ranked him 4th in the country. If he would, I put this in my deal today, the weekend wrap thing. If Rico would have won at Lakeside, I probably have him number 1 after this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have some really, really great speed on big not just big, but momentum type tracks. I don't think Lakeside's very small. I don't consider it small. I consider it a medium sized but very fast momentumish place. I think that's where they're excelling right now. So we'll see if it can continue, which I think it probably will, because Rico's always been good on anything fast, and Ricky's pretty much good at everything. So, yeah, honestly, it's no surprise that Rico's been as good as he is. I'm surprised it took a year to get to this point, but the tire situation has really, I think it ran right into their playbook, and it seems to help a lot.
And I think they got Brady Forbrook on that team. I mean, Rico's talked about him and how well this team has gelled and works together. And look, we talked about obviously Crouch Motorsports and the problems there. This is the exact opposite. And it seems, and according to Rico, this is the best he's ever felt. This is the best he ever felt about his team. And it's showing on the track. He wins Saturday night. It's his third World of Outlaw win in 11 starts.
It's pretty stout numbers right there, boy.
Yep. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Rico this year, albeit we will not see him at Lincoln. He will be running Williams Grove later in the week. Logan Schuchart gets the win on Friday night. And of course, I want to take credit for this because I had him as not hot last week. So, and you had Donnie Schatz as not hot, and he had 2 podiums. So I think you deserve credit for that. And I deserve a stipend. I'm going to call Logan and ask for just $1,000. That's all I want.
Just $1,000.
But Logan Schuchart's led 44 laps in the last 4 events. They've come on a bit here. Now, granted, Eldora is a place he's really good at, and I don't think
really good. Both the guys. I mean, him and Schatz are both really good at Eldora. The fact that we had him in the non-hot last week, and they both ran great this week, it's not surprising. I think I even said if Donnie's going to break out, it's going to take a place like there or Knoxville or Williams Grove, places that he's exceptional at. And they're at Eldora, and he broke out. And Logan was just as fast as second night. He won his fourth heat race of the night, and was 2 or 3 tenths faster than the fastest heat race all night. So, I mean, Logan had speed all weekend there. So
we'll see if that
kind of no surprise.
Yeah, we'll see if that carries over for both of them this week at Lincoln at Williams Grove. The weather's always changing. It's not as grim as it looked last week for this week. So I think we're going to get some outlaw shows in. On Friday night, Kyle Larson in the heat race. Zeb Wise got into Kyle on the outside. It was in the backstretch. Zeb Wise drifted up and caught Kyle Larson. Zeb takes a wild flip. Good to see him walk into the ambulance. Obviously, he's a little banged up. Kyle Larson had his top wing ripped off, and he had the front wing damaged. Red flag was thrown, but he drove it into the pit area. And he was DQ'd for not stopping under red. And the internet lit up like a Christmas tree because, there was a lot of different thoughts on it. Justin Fiedler broke it down today, counted seconds. I guess 7 seconds until Jacob Allen and Carson Macedo, and stopped 25 seconds until Larson. My thing is, I thought there was a rule where you couldn't pull into the work area during a red.
I thought the pits were closed.
Well, that's what I mean. So he would be DQ'd.
Like NASCAR, the stop sign was up.
Yeah, it'd be DQ'd regardless. I thought that because our local tracks use that rule, and I think it comes from the Outlaws, but I'm not sure about that. Either way, did you like the DQ? Were you okay with it, I should say?
I'm okay with it. The one thing I was told that they came over the radio and they said you're parked for the night when he pulled in. That's what I was told by another driver, that they said on the radio you're parked for the night. Well, obviously that wasn't the case.
I saw here's the funny one to me. The people who say, oh, they did it to him because of high limit. All right. First off, you're telling me Mike Hess is thinking about high limit in that split second. Or you're telling me Brian Carter sitting at home watching this and dials up my guess and says he's done because of that is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. And on top of that, they would be banging Brad Sweet for something every week if that was the case.
Are you sure it just wasn't the flow suit?
We didn't see that till afterward, though. So you know what?
Yeah. I think that's kind of funny. I
just think this is so much about nothing, and it didn't affect his night because he still started on the front row of the B main.
Yeah.
Still was hard charger through the night. I mean, everything went as it would have been if they would have let him. I don't think they would have been able to fix it right away.
Now, I know he was probably in the top guy, one of the top guys in the B main in time, but if you're disqualified, how do you get your time back?
It's because he's one of the top two guys. They automatically.
I understand that.
B main, no matter what.
No matter if you're disqualified. So if you were light at the scales after the heat, you would get your time back for the B?
I'm assuming. Well, here's
get on that one.
Shouldn't it? We'll see the rest of the year.
I mean, if you're disqualified, I think that should start you in the back of whatever your next race would be.
Paul Silva's not sending you a Christmas card.
I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but I'm just looking at the whole picture going, is he disqualified, or did they just say, hey, pull it in after the heat? You can't finish the heat.
I think the more interesting thing is you were told by a driver who was there that he was DQ'd for the evening. Okay, so that obviously changed. So
yeah,
interesting, very interesting. Yeah. At Knoxville, they finally get a race in their fifth try, and Aaron Reitzel sweeps the 360 and 410 program, gets 2 wins. Tyler Swank was there. There's somebody I got a call about Tyler Swank not being there. He was there. And Aaron Reitzel's good at Knoxville. He takes care of the 360 end of that. He's always going to be good. And also, obviously, the 410. He's the 5th guy to sweep the 360s and 410s in the same night. Terry McCarl's done it 4 times. Brian Brown's done it 3 times. Justin Henderson's done it 3 times. And Dennis Moore Jr. was the 5th. Aaron Reitzel in some elite company there.
Yeah, no, I think he had a very good night. The car count looked like it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to see a whole lot of the action. I didn't see any of the action. I kind of woke up and checked to see one, and to my surprise, they won both segments of the event. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool because not many guys run both.
No,
I think Chase Randall ended up running both. And he almost had a top 3 in both, but it's a tough thing to do. It's tough to concentrate on one division, let alone 2. So, good for them guys, and a great way to start the Knoxville season off. And I guess we finally saw Kerry and Madsen out too.
Yeah, you know all about running 410s and 360s in the same night.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It sucks. You can say it. It sucks.
Yeah, but when you win them both, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Central Pennsylvania, Chase Dietz gets the win at the Grove on Friday night. Pretty good. He just looks really good throughout the early season. Didn't go as well at Lincoln the next night. He ended up got chopped, got hit from behind, tipped over, and then the butterfly on the injector was bent, so he didn't come back out. Freddie Raymer gets the win at Lincoln Speedway by 9.276 seconds. I don't think I've seen anybody win at Lincoln by that much where I was in attendance. And of course, at Port Royal, Blaine Heimbach charges, I believe, from 9th to 1st and gets the win. Ryan, what did you think about those three results?
Chase Dietz, probably the biggest surprise to me this year. The speed he continues to have consistently. I mean, dude, he ran 16.3 in a dash, and he ran another one in the feature. I mean, that's hauling the mail at Williams Grove, boy. And to be able to do that in the feature, he's he's got a really good car right now. Obviously, Freddie winning by 9 seconds that's a thrashing.
That's a beat down.
Yeah. Some guys weren't very good if they got beat by 9 seconds. Holy cow. Let me go back to Williams Grove for a second though. But Dylan Norris was pretty good at the Grove. I think he had a chance to win that race because it was very difficult to pass. He got in a little trouble with a lap car.
Lap car
But
gears break.
is that what happened? The gears broke. Okay.
Yep, on Cameron Smith,
Yeah.
he picked it up and no place for
Yeah,
Dylan.
that kind of ruined the night for Dylan. He kind of spun out, and obviously Chase took advantage of it. And then Freddie winning by 9 seconds is crazy, but Blaine Heimbach looked exceptional at Port Royal. I was in attendance, and he was very nice. His car through 3 and 4, he could do stuff that other guys could not even think about doing. Yeah.
Wait a second. You were there?
I made 2 races this weekend, Jeremy.
Where were you? Were you at the Grove?
I was.
Where?
I was helping a friend of mine.
You were helping a 358 driver?
Mm-hmm.
Don't say hello. Don't text me. Hey, I'm here.
Hey, whoa. If I explained to you my night, Friday night, you would understand. My daughter had the prom Friday night, and I committed to helping. It's Riccione Racing, and Steve passed away, and they were going to run his car one more time on his birthday, which was May 5th. When they asked me if I'd help them, I said yes. And that was probably a month and a half before the race even happened. And I knew my daughter was going to the prom, but I never put until the Friday before, I never put the May 5th and the May 5th 2 dates together. So
how'd that go over?
Well, I made it home after work for a couple pictures and turned around and left and back to Williams Grove. So hence the reason that I didn't see you.
All right. I'll give you a pass. I can't believe you went to 2 in one weekend, much less 1.
Yeah. I love going to watch Port Royal race. I like the drive up 322. I told you this 100 times before. But hey, I got off the exit and I got to the rudders and I went, oh shit.
Yeah, you got to turn.
Forgot all about it. I'm like, oh man.
They
So
demolished the bridge, I think.
Yeah, I think so. They had all kind of equipment sitting in front, but I was like, oh, that kind of ruined my trip.
It sucks.
But no, Blaine, back to the racing. Blaine was really, really, really good. Like he was excellent. That's the best I've seen him in probably 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Justin Grant, CJ Leary, win at Eldora. They have shared the last 4 races. Justin Grant wins Friday night at Eldora. CJ Leary wins Saturday. Did me solid because Justin Grant hurt you bad. And I had CJ winning that race.
Yes.
Ryan, they're tied for the point lead, ironically, for USAC. Good little battle going between Justin Grant and CJ Leary right now, the class of the USAC field.
Yeah, don't sleep on Brady Bacon. He'll start banging out top 5s.
I won't do that. That's going to wrap up segment 1, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Stay tuned. We'll be back in segment 2 with an interview. Moose's LZ Bar and Grill in Jonestown, PA has a history of providing great food at a great price. They have daily lunch and dinner specials, including baby back ribs on Monday, dollar tacos on Wednesday, prime rib on Friday and Saturdays, and seafood on Sunday. They also have daily drink specials. The deck is open all year round and features live entertainment May through September. For more information, go to www.mooseslz.com. Welcome to segment 2, SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Join us on the phone is Carson Macedo, who was leading the World of Outlaw points until last weekend. He's coming off a streak of 26 straight top 10s. Carson, how you doing?
Doing really well. Just out here enjoying this Pennsylvania weather.
You come to town and it gets better.
It's like California out here all of a sudden. I don't know. They must have knew that we were coming into town or something, but we'll take it how we can get it. I've been here, and it's been an absolute nightmare, freezing cold, so I'm thankful for this.
Yeah, it seems like it rains in California now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I know. It's like we switched seasons with you guys.
Yeah, I know some guys out there who wish it would switch back.
Yeah, no doubt. They haven't been able to get in near the racing that they have. That's for sure. And I feel like it's funny, like when the Outlaw schedule come out, probably wasn't a guy that was more upset than me that we were going to Pennsylvania instead of California, but turned out to be probably one of the best decisions they've made because, we wouldn't have got a single race in had we went to the West Coast. So, yeah, I guess I was definitely wrong about that. And, thankful we came to Pennsylvania instead.
So you're back in Pennsylvania now. Obviously, you were on this streak of, it was talked about, I talked about, a lot of people did. You had 26 straight top tens. It ended on Saturday night, finished 13th. It was an odd race for you because you timed well. You started on the pole of the dash, started third in the A main, and went back. Did you guys just miss it, or what happened Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, I think a combination of a couple of things. I think we missed it, and then it was one of those races where it seemed like nothing went my way. Like every restart, I would get pinned in a bad spot, or I would get one restart. I remember Brad shot to my inside. I got a bad start to begin with, and I had a guy turn across my nose, and then Brad shot to my inside, and so I ended up in the middle, and then I would just get freight trained, and it was just a weird race. A weird race in general for myself and JJR. I feel like Eldora Speedway has been probably one of the top tracks on my list of places where it seems like no matter how bad things were going or if we were having bad runs, I could go there and put something respectable together. And JJR historically has been extremely good there too. So weird deal. Leading into the weekend, I expected two amazing runs, and we just starting on pole of the dash. We backed up in the dash, and which was kind of explainable. I mean, we were changing an engine after the heat race, and we didn't get a whole lot of time to work on our car. And I thought, Phil was so busy working on the car, and Clyde and Nate, that they didn't really have a chance to look at the track or make a whole lot of setup decisions. And then, in the feature, we just, I don't know, weird deal. I think sometimes you just have those nights, and for us, I think everybody's calling me like, what happened? Did something break? Because we've been so consistent for a number of races, and like you said, and so I felt the same way. I went up to the top at one point, got past, and went to the bottom, got past, and then somebody drove by me in the middle, went to the middle, and I was still getting past, and I'm thinking, man, those nights are the nights where you feel like you forgot how to do it. But ultimately, I feel like my team's one of the best. I think Philip is one of the best, if not the best, out there right now. And if anybody can come back from that and have a great night tomorrow night at Lincoln, it's him. And I believe in him through and through, and hopefully he has that same faith in me. But every once in a while you have a bad night, and unfortunately, it just happened to be the other night for us.
When you have a bad night like that, which, I mean, it's not like you were 22nd and out on lap 3. I mean, it's kind of tough when you go top, get past, bottom, get past, and then get past in the middle. There's not much you can do about that. But there's no place left to go on the track. But when you have a night like that, how easy or hard is it to just discard it and move on to the next one? The Outlaw, when you're on the Outlaw Tour, you have to do that. Did that take a while for you to kind of get used to just kind of take a night like that, crumble it up, and throw it away?
Well, it's not easy, and anyone who says that it is lying. It's really tough on your mental state more than anything, and I feel like that's what makes the World of Outlaw Tour so unique. And I've said this before in multiple interviews, but the Outlaw Tour is something that you just can't get away from. I mean, you're still going to race against the best guys every night, no matter how down you are, how bad things are going at that point in time. And I think that for me, I've been able to have a lot of really good people in my corner that are good influences in my life that will remind me that bad nights do happen and things do happen, and it's not always going to go perfect. So I've also went out of my way to find people me get through those times too mentally. I've talked about it in the past, sports psychologists, and I have a trainer that I work out with in California, every day that I'm home. It's also Tommy Tarleton's trainer. His name's Drew Mattis. He owns a baseball fitness academy. He went to school to be a psych, trainer and also, physical fitness trainer and so rehabilitation, all those things. And so he's helped me a ton as well, just from talking to him in the gym, and I feel like he's helped me, and everybody that's been a part of my life and journey has helped me a lot. But it's really difficult. You're racing against guys that just don't make very many mistakes, don't have very many bad nights. And I think right now between David Gravel and Brad Sweet, and myself, it seems like, and, obviously Logan and Donnie and all these guys are extremely good as well. But, our bad runs are so far between that it actually makes it so catastrophic when you do have one, because that they're not going to happen very often for that other team. And so we just tried to limit that as much as we could or can. And I feel like we've been doing a really good job at it lately. But, obviously the other night that wasn't the case. But, we'll keep putting our best foot forward.
I've talked to a couple other drivers who, some older drivers, and they see a difference in you than before. Your consistency, like you'll go slower to go faster, is a term I've heard from some of the greats in this sport. And you become more consistent. You put an emphasis on being more consistent. Have you had to change your driving style a little to be more consistent and kind of evaluate yourself a little harder to put together a run like 26 top 10s?
Yeah, so that makes me feel good. I appreciate that. So I've always said this, and I firmly still believe this, that sprint car racing and drivers in sprint car racing are super easy to slow down, not very easy to speed up. I see a lot of kids that have a lot of talent that are extremely good. Most good drivers that you know of today were at one point a stupid kid that wrecked all the time, that was just really fast and out of control. And I think that's the only way that you can be a good sprint car driver a lot of the time. Not always. There is exceptions to the rule. I've never really heard of David Gravel having a crashing phase. Lance DeWeese, like guys like that. I don't think I've ever heard of them really crashing much, but they've always been able to be kind of that paced in, consistent driver that could win races on any given night. And, for me, it was definitely the crashing route. I went through the phases of wrecking and running as hard as I possibly could. And I think on the Outlaw Tour, my first couple of years on the road, I really was driving past 100% every single lap. Every lap was a Knoxville Nationals final lap to me. And through that process, I made a lot of enemies and caused a lot of heartache, on myself. Had a lot of people that wanted to wreck me and just, rightfully so, were upset with the way that I drove. But, I was in a really good situation at KLR. I had a lot of eyes, I think, on me at that point, and I was trying my best to fit in and belong on the Outlaw Tour. I knew that winning races was the only option. I couldn't be at KLR and not win races. I was going to get fired. And so that wasn't an option for me. I wasn't willing to ever, lay down and just accept that I wasn't, if I was going to get fired, it was going to be because I tried everything I possibly could. I gave it my best effort and I got fired, and so I felt like I was able to win races because of that style for a while. And, then I went to JJR and kind of continued that style a little bit that first year. And I saw right away how good my car was most nights and how much easier it was to win races. And, quickly realized that if I was just able to kind of hang in there and race for more consistent runs, that I could have a shot at some point at winning a championship in the 41. And ultimately, when I first started racing sprint cars, that was everything I ever wanted to do. Was I wanted to be like Jason Myers, win a World Outlaw Championship. And so, I looked at my driving style really so much in the middle of last year and kind of just decided that it was time for me to start being a more well-rounded race car driver and making less enemies as well. I can think of a couple instances in particular, but one of them for sure last year, believe it or not, Outlaw official kind of woke me up and said, look, man, it was Anthony Carini. He's, good kid.
Yep.
He's in the, in the outlaw trailer one day, and I had totally unintentional, by the way, ran into Anthony Macri at Port Royal. He had started really deep in the field. He was coming through. He got to my inside, and I had a car in front of me, and I had switched lanes and ran into the side of Macri. And I don't think he forgot about it, because the next night at the Grove, he threw a massive slider on me and wrecked, both myself, him, and Kyle in the process. And at first, I was so upset with Anthony, and I was like, man, just like any other driver probably would be. But after, sitting back and reflecting on it myself, I, was over at the Outlaw Trailer, and just so happened to be Anthony was standing there, and he made a comment to me like, do you think that he would have thrown that same slider on Donnie or Brad? And it sunk in right away, like, no, he probably wouldn't have. But Brad and Donnie give so much other people room that, a lot of the times people race them that same way back. And so I think for me, like, I just instantly made the decision that I needed to change things up in order to ever beat Brad in the championship. I needed to have nobody to have a vendetta against me. And in order to do that, I needed to start racing people with a little bit more respect and finish races. I mean, last year, another thing that was the light bulb going off my head was I won 11 races, and Brad won 5 and beat me in the championship. So, it's just the proof's in the pudding. And I talked it over with the people that I trust, and, and they were like, look, like, if you ever want to win the championship, that's what you're going to have to do, is finish every race. And so I'm trying my best to do that. I'm trying to give people more respect, and I'm trying to be a better overall well-rounded race car driver. Also, though, I'm trying to win races. I don't think it's ever okay to not win races and just be consistent. And so I still want to be able to elevate myself to that level of aggressiveness when I need to go get a win at the end of the race, when my car's capable and I can capitalize on that opportunity, because they don't come up every night, every race. And unfortunately, because of the way I drove in the beginning, I've had a lot of, it seems like I could be the cleanest guy ever, and then have one instance, we look back a couple weeks ago at I-55,
yeah.
I totally unintentionally ran into David, and he ended up spinning and getting a flat, and and through social media and everything else, it was a disaster, to say the least. And so it can turn quick for me, and I know that, but ultimately, I am trying to be different. I am trying to be a better, well-rounded race car driver, and hopefully that leads to me one day being able to achieve the goal of winning a championship.
When you go through social media, doesn't make it easier. How do you juggle that? I remember that incident. I did not think it was as bad as some made it out to be, because you can talk about missing lines and whatnot, and what happened in turn 2 and all kinds of other stuff. But how do you juggle that social media end of it? Do you just turn it off after something like that? Do you not look at it? I know you're younger. That's tough.
Yeah.
How do you juggle that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good question. I think that when it all happened, David came over. We had a conversation in the trailer. I thought it went really well. It was very civil, and he left, and I thought everything was good, and not good, but just we were going to be able to move past it. And obviously, I understood his frustration. I wasn't trying to make any light of the situation, but I got on social media. I saw a lot of backlash, and so I decided to put out something just saying, look, I thought that maybe that me admitting to what happened and taking responsibility would make things better. It really didn't. Honestly, think it might have made it worse. And so, I learned from that. I learned from that experience as well. I think a lot of the Outlaw Tour is about learning experiences. I think a lot of it is about making mistakes, and you're never going to be perfect, and you're never going to make everybody happy either. But social media is like the enemy of all enemies, in my opinion, for a driver. It's a bittersweet deal, because you almost have to have it in order to sell merchandise and promote yourself and put your name out there and really get your, people to know you are. I feel like it is a very helpful tool, and it can be a good thing. But I'd say that's about 1% of it. The other 99% is awful. And it really, if you have a hard time mentally as a person, it can really, lead you down the wrong path. And so, a lot of people on there are very uneducated, and don't really know what's going on. And so they make comments, and if you look at it all and let it sink in, you're like, you're really getting down. So I just try to do my best to, like that deal when all that happened, I took in a few things. I decided I didn't want to see it anymore. I put out what I had to say, and then I just deleted the apps. And I stayed off of it for a little while and let it all kind of blow over. And I think that's probably the best approach to it. But, unfortunately, like for me in that instance, right, like, David is a very, very heavily weighted in social media guy. Like he is very, very into it, puts a lot of emphasis on it, spends a massive amount of time and energy on that portion of his career and building his brand and everything else, and has a hired guy to put out more content. And so, in that situation, it was probably the worst guy to have any kind of an issue with.
Yeah.
But, it just is what it is. And he's grown a lot of his fan base from that and his brand. And so I get it. He wants to put content out there. But, for me, it was I just needed to get off it for a little while and kind of get my mind straight. And, that's what I did.
So you're coming to Pennsylvania. You're 2 points behind Brad. It's funny. I talked to Brad at first race at Volusia. He's like, it's just wins this year, and here he is leading the points anyway. So he just hangs around and hangs around. So you're coming to PA. Lincoln's kind of weird. One night you can be really good there. You've won there. And then the next night you can run 10th there. What is it about Lincoln that's so tricky? Because I think the Grove you have a good handle on. I think obviously JJR has always been good there. Time trialing is important. But Lincoln to me seems like a wild card.
Yeah, definitely. I for sure agree with that. I think that a few things, kind of play into that. I think that Lincoln's one of those places where you could, draw a bad pill and time trial is going to be tougher. I never see it totally fall off, but I have seen it definitely get very challenging to time trial good if you kind of draw the wrong pill or, and then, I think that you get tons of cars there. Like, even though it's midweek, I bet we get 50 cars or something crazy, and so I think that they must have a really good, I don't hardly pay a ton of attention to Lincoln's local stuff, but I do notice that they get a lot of cars. It seems like even on a weekly basis. So I think that we bring in a lot of them too. I think a lot of the guys that run the Grove or Port, whatever, they'll come for those shows. It seems like some of them. So I think the depth and the talent and the amount of cars that we get, makes for a pretty small error margin. I don't think that you can be off too much in time trials, and then boom, you're sitting in the second or third row of a heat race, and from that point, it's really tough to get up into that dash. And then, Lincoln's another place where it's just any time you go to one of those paperclip bull rings, which I think Lincoln kind of is. I think the Hopstott's even worse, but there's some of them places that are just those paperclip bull rings. You can really get sucked into a bee swarm being about mid-pack in those type of races. There's just a lot of broken momentum and slide jobs and guys really being aggressive in that area of the field. And I feel like it's easy to get in that, if you don't qualify the best and you just get out of your heat or whatever the case might be, and then you end up in that spot. So I feel like that's why it's such a wild card. And I think that we see it all the time. Guys go there and they might have a real bad night, and it's like, it could happen to anyone.
Then obviously, like I said, you go to the Grove. More money on the line. you got to feel really good about being one of the best guys in central Pennsylvania, because there's so many races here now that you got to be good in central PA. Do you feel this is a place where you could win a championship, not necessarily this weekend, but throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, Central Pennsylvania has turned into really a place that I actually enjoy going. I mean, when I first started racing, I didn't enjoy coming here at all, very much, but I wasn't very good out here. And then, the transition has been through JJR, and I think, just working super hard to be better as a race car driver in this area. We've become, going to Lincoln this weekend or this week, going to Winsgrove this weekend. I feel super confident in my race team and, my ability to go there and do a good job. So I enjoy coming here. I feel like I knew this, I've known this for a while though, that Pennsylvania is a place where if you are terrible in Central Pennsylvania, then it's going to be really tough to win the Outlaw Tour Championship. I mean, it's just like you said, there's so many races. I mean, you just can't get around it, So I think that I've really tried to put an emphasis on being better out here, and I know my team has as well, and I feel like we can do a good job. So the only track we have left, I feel like that we probably could improve a little bit on is Port Royal, but I think we've gotten better there, and I hope that we can continue to go in that direction as we get to race there more.
Tires. I contend that, well, I mean, there's not enough data yet, but I'm wondering if these tires are making the racing better, because I think the racing across the board, I know I see it here every week, high limit. We saw it, obviously, what we saw out there, and then your guys' events, except for maybe a few exceptions. Do you think the tires have made a difference in the racing? Because to me, it's either one of a few things: either they're easier on the track surfaces, or there's the difference between the guys who've hit on something, the guys who haven't, or a combination of both.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've definitely thrown a lot of people for a loop, and as much as I don't really feel that big of a difference in the two, I do, but not quite as drastic as some guys have mentioned or said. But I feel like they've definitely changed all of our programs. Some of the things that we were able to do before, we can't do anymore. I do feel like there's been a lot of guys that have been extremely good in certain scenarios or at certain tracks that have went back there. I can think of Eldora this weekend, just for one example, being, where there was a few guys that I really thought were going to be strong players at Eldora, and then we kind of showed up there, and it proved me wrong in a lot of areas. Certain cars or scenarios that I thought were going to be really good that weren't. Certain cars that I thought maybe wouldn't be as much of a contender were. So I think we've seen it a lot, and I know for us, we just seem to have a lot of inconsistency, and we'll put a right rear tire on and go out there and feel like our car is super balanced and all feel really comfortable, and Phil will be really happy, and then switch tires and really not switch stagger size or anything like that, and go back out and then be off. So I don't know why that is, but I know that Phil's really good at what he does, and he's going to figure it out. But I think it's throwing a lot of people for a loop. As far as the racing being better, I don't know. I definitely feel, in my opinion, the biggest difference I feel is that we just have less grip. Our right rear tire, I'm guessing because it's harder, I assume it just feels like the slick is slicker to me. Before, when we would kind of make the transition, and especially if the track has patchy grip, you make the transition from the slick to from the grip to the slick, and you would slip and slide, but not nearly like you do now with this tire. It seems like you can really get your wheel spin up, easier, and not be nearly as gripped up through the slick parts of the racetrack. So, I think that probably does create better racing, and you're watching a lot more races than me, so I'd say if you think as a whole it's become better as far as the racing battles and things like that, it's probably true.
Well, I mean, I've heard people talk about how there's not as much dirty air. You can maneuver.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. I mean, I think that the air still affects our cars the same, but I think more so what people are feeling is just less grip, right? So
Right.
when your right rear tire isn't stuck into the racetrack, well then everything's harder, especially from a driving standpoint and a crew chief standpoint. When your car's stuck and you have tons of you run down in there and your right rear is stuck and you feel like your car's in the racetrack, you can make much more maneuverable moves and be comfortable and really not get contested as much. Where if you're kind of having to keep the tires under you more, be more methodical, hit your marks more often, it's gonna probably create better racing.
Well, Carson, you're racing well right now. You're in Central Pennsylvania. I appreciate you taking the time join us on the show on such short notice, and we look forward to seeing you at Lincoln Speedway.
Yeah, no problem. Pleasure, and yeah, hopefully you have a good week.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, Carson.
Yep.
Welcome back to segment 3, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Ryan, I thought, we talked a lot about all the things that have happened over the last few days. So in segment 3, we're going to look at some of our early season surprises. And I'll kick things off. And, sorry if we repeat some of these, but hey, they're surprises for a reason. I'm going to start with the good racing. I didn't know what to expect with the tires, but I'm going to say that a lot of this good racing, and it was even good at Eldora last week, I thought. I'm going to say it's the tires. I think Hoosier's done a good job putting a tire out there that guys, have to pedal more. The cars aren't as stuck or glued. I hear now the dirty air isn't as bad on these new tires. I'm surprised we're seeing as much side-by-side racing as we are. I think the racing's been better through the early part of the season than it has been in a long time. Let's hope that doesn't change. Now, the Grove Friday night was super heavy. We had a lot of rain, but it was still tricky in traffic. So I just think cars are more maneuverable, and that surprises me. I thought we'd see the exact opposite on these things through the early part of the season before guys got used to them. That hasn't been the case. I think it's been good.
Yeah, you can't complain about the racing. We saw some real great races already this year. Whether it's all the tire or not remains to be seen. I don't know. I mean, it's probably been the biggest change in the off season for everyone involved. So I think obviously when guys, we see a couple guys that kind of have it figured out already. Obviously Rico has been extremely fast at most places he's been to, gravel sweet. So I think as more guys figured out, you may see that gap widen a little bit. Like right now, I think we see a lot of side-by-side stuff because a lot of guys are probably not where they want to be yet, but I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't widen now. Hopefully it stays the way it is and the racing's super tight and we have a race every night for the win with a lap or two to go. That'd be great.
I'll let you go pick one.
Oh, early. Man, I'll tell you what, I really think I'm going to hit home here, but we've talked about him quite a few times. Chase Dietz has had an awesome year to start the year. Started his own team from pretty much nothing. Got a couple cars, brand new stuff, got a brand new motor, and it looks like he's got a brand new lease on racing. He's, he looks like a different guy than he looked the last 3 or 4 years. So I think it's great. I think it's cool to see a guy that, if he doesn't start his own team, where does he really land? does he even have a ride? Go out on a limb, start your own team. I mean, the former team he was with, they have 2 cars. So we basically gained 2 cars over one team being split up. So we can't complain about that either. But Chase Dietz has really been, I think he's been one of the huge stories in Central PA right now. He's got, it's not like I'm not going to say he didn't luck in the Williams Grove one a little bit. Yes, but he had speed all night.
He was there.
It's not like he was there. So, he came really close to winning a race the other week at Lincoln, kind of coming from behind when it was really one lane. So, I mean, look, the kid's fast right now, and everything's rolling for him, and it's awesome. We'll see. I think this weekend will be a big decider in where he ends up in my mind. Like, is this maybe a little bit of a mirage, or is this for real? I think you got the Outlaws coming in and time trialing, and he hasn't always necessarily been the best time trialer. So we'll see how really good his program is this week.
Well, the interesting thing is I like that he's sticking to his schedule, not going outside of the box and running too much. That he might run Lincoln, will not be at the Grove. It's not going.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's not. He doesn't want to get into that thing where, he's running too much and then he's down on equipment for, say, Speed Week or whatever. He's managing it, and I think in the first year of the team, I think that's smart.
Yeah. Oh, well, then we ain't going to see how good he is at Williams Grove against the Outlaws. So hopefully he makes it to Lincoln. He's been pretty stout there too. So hopefully he can get her out at Lincoln and keep it moving.
Another one. Look, this past weekend, Lance DeWeese going on the road to Atomic and Eldora. That's a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to the million. I guess I view those guys as, do they really need laps anywhere? I mean, they've pretty much seen every scenario that we can think of, but going to Atomic, going to Eldora, and the amount that Lance says they're going to travel, they're going to go to the million. They might go to another show out there. Ryan, that's surprising to me, because I know when they get outside that 40 race box, 35, 40 races, they struggle at the end of the year. I'm concerned about that, which is why I'm surprised it happened. But it was okay. Passed a bunch of cars at Atomic.
Yep.
It was a hard charger. Made the show at Eldora. Was it one or both nights?
I know he made it the second night, and I think was he the hard charger the first night? Yeah, he might have made. No, I thought he missed one of the shows though.
He missed one.
Either way, yeah, he missed one. I think if those guys would be feeling more comfortable around here on the new tires, I'm not sure you would have seen them go out there. But I think I don't think, look, we've talked about this 100 times. They are realistic about their program. They're not going to say, hey, we're pretty good or we're really good till they're really good. They have a really good standard. And I think if they're going to Eldora, Lance hasn't been to Eldora for years, and they're not feeling the way they want to feel yet. So I think they wanted to go to Eldora and get hey, maybe you figure something out there and you can carry it home. But am I surprised? Yeah, a little bit, but I'm not surprised that they're going to Eldora for the million.
No, I'm
not.
No,
anything can happen there. I mean,
I'm not surprised by that. It's the early season stuff, and he will not be at Lincoln.
No, I would have been shocked. The conversation we had the last time I talked to him about Lincoln Speedway, he just said he just does not feel good there right now. Like doesn't feel good at all.
Well, he's going to his son's running a $10,000 to win micro show in Indiana. So.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
he's doing a lot of that too. He's getting some frequent flyer miles in.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Go ahead, you're up next.
I guess it's maybe not a surprise, but the car counts for the high limit races have been outstanding and very much quality. And I like, I kind of like how they're doing it. They're kind of putting the nominate, like it's almost like Australia where who's going before you even get there. Like
I guess
all these other races, you're like waiting for the pill draw to come out to see who's there. Where the high limit stuff. Now I'm sure you get a couple guys, a couple stragglers here and there that didn't, confirm their arrival and stuff the day before or whatever. But I think the base of the field is set at least the night before, and I think that's kind of cool. Like, I have never seen that for anything around here in the States. You always see it in Australia. You know who's racing in Australia a month before.
Averaging 53.5 cars.
Yeah.
Now, it's only been 2
and
races, but their last race at Kokomo, they had 46 entries, and it would have got to 50.
Yeah.
No,
it's been good.
And I have to agree with you. Now, the Lakeside race doesn't, but the 34 race, I thought everything I think's fallen right for them too. The rainouts in the Midwest, I think that got some guys out, but that's a very interesting point. I'm going to stick with Rico Abreu. I thought they'd be better. I didn't think they'd be this good. Like I said, if I was ranking today, the number 1 driver in the country, it would be Rico Abreu. I know I put my poll out before Eldora, and I had him 4th behind Carson, Brad, and Gravel. If I had to do it right now, it would be Rico Abreu. And it probably, if he doesn't blow a tire at Lakeside, he probably would have been number 1 in my poll last week. He's that good right now. And Ricky Warner and him gelling, the team looks good. By the way, he's from California. Just wanted to throw that in there.
There you have it. I don't even think I mean to comment on it. I mean, he's from California. I'll just put my foot in my mouth if I comment on it.
By the way, to piggyback that, 3 of my top 4 guys in my poll are from California.
That's outstanding, Jeremy.
What?
Jeez. Nothing.
Go ahead.
I got called Jeremy at the races again this weekend, and that kind of,
Does it throw you off?
Yeah, I think it was. Yes.
Who was it?
Oh, I thought you said a name. No, it was one of the 2 gentlemen that I told you always kind of goof with me a little bit about it. And they always say, it was one of them guys. He said, I was walking by and he goes, "Hey, Jeremy." And I'm like, "Yeah, got the wrong guy."
Well, I know Dana Lasowski called you from the airport, so I was sitting next to him in Chicago.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm here with his brother." So
Yeah.
Go ahead, last one.
Oh. I can't keep beating him up, so I'm not going there.
That's
yeah. I felt like last year the way he ended at Charlotte and stuff, I was like, But
I think Gio Celsi struggling in the beginning of the year surprised me. Coming out of it a little bit, but I was surprised by that.
Yes and no. I was more surprised that they committed the outlaw thing with the way they raced the year before, kind of hit and miss as it was, and now this year you get locked. Basically, if you're running the outlaws, you're completely locked into them, and you only get 4 misses pretty much to go race all these high limit races, which are really surrounding the area where that car's from. Like the majority of them are like within a probably a 5 to 6 hour radius of their shop. That probably surprised me a little bit that they committed the outlaw deal, but it is what it is. Justin Sanders probably is one of the surprises to me. I thought his 410 program would be a little bit better this year. I feel like Corey Day and Dominic are dominating the 410s out in California. That's why I asked you before the show started who won the King of the West, because I hadn't seen anything about it. But I feel like those 2 guys are head and shoulders above the rest of them. Now, Justin's still really good with the 360, but I think they're still trying to find their footing with the 410 program.
Yeah, I mean, he's not bad. He's second in.
No, he's not bad. He's not bad.
But Corey Day, I think, is just right now, and we'll see this weekend. Peter Murphy class nights.
Yep.
I think Corey Day right now, when you go first, second.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Yeah, you're overshadowing everybody. I think Dom with the 10th place finish. I rank Justin Sanders ahead of him in the 410 poll, but that also because of high limit. He finished 8th in a high limit race.
Yeah.
That's what led to that. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. We definitely got a lot, and here these things are all surprises now. It's going to change.
Oh,
It's going to
yeah,
change.
it's going to change because I mean, obviously we already have guys moving around, and it's only May. What is this? I mean, what's going to happen next?
No, I agree with you. That's going to wrap up segment 3, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. We'll be back in our 4th and final segment where we make our picks. Stay tuned.
If you're in the market for a Renegade Toter Home, Intech, Bravo, or United Sprint Car Trailer, head to the industry's #1 dealer, Capital Custom Trailer and Coaches. No one sells more sprint car trailers than Capital Custom Trailer and Coaches. Why? Well, because we ourselves are racers. We use the products. We understand the racer's needs. When it's time for your next toter home or trailer, trust the people in the pits. Capital Custom Trailer and Coaches. Find us online at capitalrenegade.com.
Welcome to our 4th and final segment, SprintCarLimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Ryan, I picked up some spots thanks to what happened. I'm not sure what happened to Justin Grant in that race on Saturday night. I haven't gotten a chance to see the replay at all. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Back to 80 up. And I took it on the chin the first night with the World of Outlaws with USAC because I had Baloo and he was like 13th and you had Bateman, who was like
he wasn't
second,
very good.
third. So I caught a break there. I deserve it, I think.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, if you say so.
But we have a big weekend or a big week. We have the World of Outlaws coming to Central PA. We have the All-Stars. We have NARC King of the West, and then we have Sealands Grove on Sunday. We're going to start with the World of Outlaws at Lincoln Speedway. I think this is a crapshoot.
Oh, jeez.
You don't think it's a crapshoot?
No, I think it's an absolute crap. I was actually going to ask if I could trade my first pick away for the next two.
I know.
Say you like the draft?
No, we're not. No, there's no deal in the back room or anything like that. Europe. This is where I think Pennsylvania guys might have the best crack. Although I also think it's the best place for an invader who isn't associated with either of them to get a win, albeit Rico Haber is not going to be there.
Right.
So, and right now he won the Woo race there earlier this year. So who do you got at Lincoln Speedway Wednesday night?
I could go out on a little limb here, or I can just go close to the vest and try to keep top 5 points. Man, this is tough. Give me Peck.
You suck. I wanted him. Damn it. Damn it.
Well,
I was thinking you'd let him.
God. Yeah, I was gonna. But I like what I saw the second night at Eldora. He was really good there. And I know he's been really good at Lincoln this year. So see what he can do.
That just threw my pen because
sorry.
That blew it for because I thought you would go safe.
I was gonna. And I had a premonition.
Well, now I got to play it safe.
Sure, whatever you say.
My cat's meowing at you. I got a cat.
No.
It's not.
I got 2. You should have said something.
No, he was at one of the race. It was at BAPS, and they called me. They didn't want to take him to a shelter because they put him down. So cat's so domesticated. So I named her, my mom named her, and she's all happy. Give me Sweet. I was going to take Freddie, which
Williams. My biggest problem taking Freddie right now is I don't know what he's going to time trial. Like obviously he raced really good at Lincoln last week, but time trials against the boys is different.
Yeah, I mean, he timed fourth last week going out near the back. It was really good.
Mhm.
Looked good the last time there against the Outlaws. He just got in the back of Sweet and that messed his night up.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I wanted Peck. That's the problem. World of Outlaws shift to Williams Grove Speedway Friday night. First night of the Morgan Cup. It's $10,000 to win Friday, $17,000 to win Saturday. Big show. Weather's getting better and better. And I guess I have first pick.
You do.
I don't know what to do. Carson Macedo's gonna win soon. Okay, he's coming off that his streak of 26 straight top tens ended at Eldora. He finished 13th. So I'm gonna grab Carson Macedo night one at the Grove.
The scary part about that whole Eldora thing is he was on the pole of the dash.
Yeah, he lost 10 spots.
Yeah, from the dash. I mean, he started on the pole of the dash, lost two there, started third in the feature, and
Lost 10.
yeah, which is, I mean, look, everybody has a bad night, so you chalk it up to a bad night and continue. Oh, let's see. Give me gravel.
Okay. And then you get the Morgan Cup. Who do you got?
Morgan Cup. Man, I want to go with a couple different guys, but they feel like they're not stretches, but you know, let's see what Rico and Ricky can do.
Ooh, taking them at the Grove.
Let's see what they can do for 17,000.
Well, you're leaving me the field.
I am.
Give me David Gravel.
Okay.
They time well. Just
Yeah.
All-Star Circuit of Champions back in action. I never know when they're racing anymore. They raced Atomic last week. Before that, it was like 3 weeks off. But their schedule starts to kick up a little here now, and they go to Jacksonville Speedway and Wilmot this week. I have first pick at Jacksonville, and I'm taking Tyler Courtney right out of the gate.
Wow, that's a shocker.
Well, because you'll shut me out.
He's going to become the new Aaron. He's going to become the Aaron Reitzel.
Yep. It'll shut me out so I have to.
Well, do we see Zeb Wise back this weekend? Probably not, huh?
There's been no word that he won't be back.
Okay. I don't know how he's going to be after a tumble like that, though. Jacksonville. Give me Hunter Schoenberg.
Ooh.
And I'll take 7 BC.
Taking Courtney the next night at Wilmot.
Got to.
Bill Baylog's pretty good there.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't take Baylog and leave Courtney unattended.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I wonder if Kerry Madsen shows up at these. Or
Knoxville Racing?
I assume so. Yeah, I assume so. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't see either one of them showing up.
Give me Bill Baylog. Why don't you jump on the
Baylog?
Taking Baylog. Narc King of the West. Joe's favorite series. We're on the West Coast. King Speedway, 2 nights. What didn't this used to be Colorado? Now it's Kings. People call it Hanford.
It's from California. It's got a million names.
Yes, got a million names. $11,000 to win the Peter Murphy Classic on Saturday. Friday night, though, they also have a 410 race as part of the 2-day show. I guess I have first pick.
You do.
And I have to take Corey Day because, again, if I don't, I'm going to get shut out. So I have to take Corey Day on night one.
Okay. Well, I think he's going to be itching to make shit happen. I'm going to go with McFadden.
Nice pick. Nice pick.
Then I'm going to follow it up with Corey Day.
All right. Uh, I want to take McFadden. But I want to jazz it up for people. I don't want to take the same guys.
Okay, then jazz it up.
I'm going to jazz it up. I'm going to take Justin Sanders. I think he's due to win in a 4-10 for Demo Mitri.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bring it back to Central Pennsylvania on Sunday, Sealands Grove Speedway. Hey, their first race for 410s was really, really good. Battle between Danny Dietrich, Blaine Heimbach, and Dylan Cisney. And they're back this Sunday, Ray Tilley Classic. I guess I pick first.
You do.
Is Macri going up there?
Yeah, I think he is.
Give me Macri.
You bastard.
Well, that makes up for the Peck pick.
Well, I should have just said I don't know, and
I
then I
will
would have taken him.
trade you. I will trade you Macri for Peck.
Uh,
So I guess that's a no-go on that.
yeah. I guess I'm going. Guess I gotta go Dietrich.
He looked good in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
He looked really good in the first one. Shouldn't make note that Brad Sweet has taken the point lead with the World of Outlaws by 2 over Carson Macedo. David Gravel,
Yeah, I have a feeling.
8 points back.
I have a feeling that'll move around a little bit this weekend too. That point lead.
I think it could. Could very well,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap up this edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com podcast presented by Wicked Brands. Stay tuned to SprintCarUnlimited.com all week for your sprint car needs. We'll have plenty of coverage, off the track, on the track. I mean, doesn't matter. And we'll be back next week with another show. Stay tuned.